Hello, I'm Forrest, and I've got a problem. Today, my guest is Cort McCown. He's an American actor and comedian. He debuted on the 1985 hit film Teen Wolf with a role as one of Michael J. Fox's basketball teammates. He followed that up with a supporting role in the 1987 film Can't Buy Me Love. He's also appeared on television shows like Arrested Development, The League, Jag, Beverly Hills 90210, General Hospital, and The Young and the Restless. He's a regular at Los Angeles clubs. I don't know, maybe not anymore. The world famous Comedy Store. You still a
It
regular
was a
there?
time.
Yeah.
I think so. My name's on the wall. They can't unless they're repainting shit. I'm still there.
Yeah. Names on the wall. And he also created the Playboy Comedy Tour that was at the Palms Hotel in Las Vegas for 9 years, winning awards, Best of Las Vegas. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. Just put in Cort McCown. That's CortMcCown. Cort, thanks for being here.
Good to see you, buddy.
And yeah, you too. And what's your problem?
Well, I mean, I was an alcoholic and a cocaine addict. I mean, I had a problem, buddy. I had a big problem. But it was one of those deals where I grew up in Oklahoma, and it was I just grew up in an alcoholic family, alcoholic parents. It was nuts, and moved to LA when I was 20, and did the Geographic, just moved away and thought everything would get better, and it did for a little while, and then it got a lot worse and got worse and worse and worse, and then 2001 I got into recovery, and I've been sober ever since. So it's been 24 and a half years now that I've been sober, and I love my life, man. It's the best. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's like I have a friend that says, like, his life's so good. He goes, I wouldn't trade my life for a cold beverage. And that's kind of the way I feel, man. It's not worth it. I love my life. It's great. I don't miss anything. I don't miss the heart palpitations or the not sleeping for 3 days or any of that shit. So it's good.
Yeah, the Geographic. I did the opposite Geographic where I hadn't gambled for 14 years. And then, I'm sorry, it was 9 years. And then I moved to LA, and then just was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to do any of the work that I need to be doing for, with my addiction. And then I just started gambling again. And so I think that move is always, it can be one of two ways, right? To just avoid the other, yeah. Or
Yeah. I mean, it's like they always saying, it's like no matter where you go, there you are. And it's like usually your problems go with you. And it's unless you're dealing with them. If you're just moving, it's just moving all your problems with you.
yeah. Yeah, it's and so 20, that's what I was going to ask you. 2001, huh? 2001.
2001, September 3rd, 8 days before 9/11, buddy. Eight
That's what I was
days.
going to ask you. How close to 9/11?
I was at an AA meeting when the planes started hitting. Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, if that wasn't going to drive you back to drinking or whatever, it's like,
I mean, it was a weird time, man. What was really weird about that is a lot of people came together during that time. As much as, like, I mean, a lot of people don't remember. It's been a long time, but we had George W. Bush as the president, and nobody was a big fan of him. I mean, there was people that obviously there were enough people that were fans of his, and he got in there, and then it just really brought everybody together. It just really did. And my sober community, the people, and I was very new to it, really rallied around each other, and a lot of people. We spent a lot of it. It was really nice. Kind of everybody got in it.
yeah. I I mean, I remember that. I was a marine biologist at the time, and I was on a boat
Oh wow.
uh, in Biscayne Bay, close to the shore of Miami, a couple miles from the shore. I could see, buildings and stuff like that. But my phone just started ringing, and that was like even weirder because I didn't even have a TV, or like I didn't even know what the like people were
Yeah.
telling me stuff. I'm like, what do you like? It's people just telling you that is
Yeah.
crazy. We and But I do remember that. I remember I wasn't a George W. Bush guy, but I do remember being really connected to everybody. It was the most connected I felt
Yeah.
in this country ever, like to other
Yeah.
people and to neighbors and stuff, where you just were kind of like, all right, yeah, like this terrible things happened, but let's like rally around and be nice to each other and help each other out and stuff. And I remember that being a positive after that huge negative.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma City, and I remember the Oklahoma City bombing, which was domestic
Wow.
terrorism, as opposed to grazing an ICE officer. That was actually considered domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
And, um, and it was the first time that I can ever remember, or first time, I'm not the best at history, the first time I've ever heard of a foreign country actually, really doing damage in the United States, and really brought, I think, everybody together here in this country. And so it was great. It was great for me I mean, it wasn't great. I shouldn't say it that way, but it was like for communities, it really brought people together
Yeah.
because everybody knew somebody, or had a friend, or had, knew somebody who knew somebody, and it was horrible, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I remember I worked for the government at the time. I worked for county government, Miami-Dade
Oh
County's
God.
government. That was who I was a biologist for. I was for the environmental department that exists for the county. And so they called us in. They're like, you got to get, because we're government officials, this and that. And they were worried about any government buildings at that point. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think the environmental building for the county government, I think we're way
Yeah.
down the line right now. But
Maybe
yeah,
you don't know. Maybe
yeah.
they got something against manatees. Who knows, man?
That's what I worked with, man. Or maybe there was a permit for a dock they didn't get in. Maybe that was the whole purpose.
Did
So,
you work with manatees? Really?
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember my buddy had a place in Tequesta, just
Mhm.
north of, like, right across from Jupiter Country Club. And they were
Sure.
right on the intercoastal, and their house was right on the water. And they
Yeah,
manatees all the time around the dock.
there's a lot of manatees up there for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I thought you said manatees we haven't seen each other in a while, but I thought maybe you were like, oh yeah, because Forrest used to work with manatees. But yeah,
No, I
100%.
didn't know you worked with manatees.
Yeah,
That's
ask me
awesome.
any question you want to know about manatees. I might know it if I can
Why are
pull it
they
from the
so
recess
fat?
of my brain. They're not fat. That's how they look. Well, they do have a little bit of blubber, but to try and stay warm. But they're a warm
Yeah.
water animal for the most part. But I mean, they're so fat because they can be fat. Wouldn't you be fat
Yeah.
if you could be fat? Yeah.
Yeah, because they're protected. You're not even supposed to touch them, and and they swim up there. The sweetest little animals. Little,
So
they're not little. They're huge.
so you think before they were protected, they were in shape? They were like, we got to stay in shape.
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. Have some abs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Um.
well.
So as an actor, comic, I mean, I've said this a million times. We're constantly around, no matter what addiction you're dealing with, alcohol, drugs, gambling. You're going to be around it because that's where these things take place. Especially comedy. Comedies exist in bars, basically, or
Yeah.
casinos.
Yeah.
Where and people are trying to hand you drugs after a show or something like that. Did that make it? Was that like an extra level of difficulty? You think getting sober?
Um. Not. I don't think so, because I think the real key to this. I think the key to alcohol and drug addiction, and I think, not to say the key, but I think one of the big issues, I think, with people that you see that go in or out, or they continue to relapse or whatever, is um, they just haven't been in enough pain, or they haven't experienced. It doesn't have to be someone homeless. You don't have to be homeless living in your car. If when I got sober, if you looked on the outside, everything was pretty okay. It's the inside where it's really the most damaging. And I think, especially, what I found is that when I got sober, um, I was done. I wasn't a young man. I was in my 30s, and I had tried for 20 something years to drink like a gentleman, snort cocaine like normal people do, or, you know, take drugs, or, whatever. And I did everything. So I wasn't limited. So I'd experimented with everything. And I just found that it was like when the time came, it was like I just can't live my life like this anymore. And so I was kind of willing to really do what it takes. And there's a million different ways to do it. I'm not telling anybody any way to do it, but I went into the rooms of AA, and they gave me kind of a blueprint for how to live life without it, because I kind of feel like it's a lot of people carry these issues or whatever the problems they're having or they're dealing with, and we use drugs and alcohol to push them down, to not necessarily deal with what's going on. And what ends up happening is you take away the drugs and alcohol, and now all the problems come back. And it's like, and you don't really have the tools on how to deal with the issues, be it, your family or your girlfriend or work or stress or whatever the things are. And you're not really equipped on how to handle those issues. And I just kind of got a blueprint on how to deal with those issues. And I really stuck to it, and I used it. And it's, life is not easy. Life's not going to be easy, for anybody. I think it's difficult, and there are difficult days. And if you can learn how to get through those days without drinking and using, you're winning. And I feel like sometimes I've seen it over and over again. I've been around a long time in the sobriety world, and people just get to the point where they just go, oh, fuck it, and it's like, they don't care. It's just that. And it's like, and I never was in a place where I was like, fuck it, because I knew what it was like. It's not hard even now for me to remember what it was like. Even though it's been, 20, almost 25 years, it's not hard to remember how dark it was.
Yeah.
And I just don't ever want to go back there. And, I think the further away from it you get, the kind of I shouldn't say the easier, because it's not easy all the time, but I definitely don't, it doesn't bother me. I'm around comics that drink, smoke weed, all that. It just doesn't bother me, because it's
Yeah.
just, I know that I'm not like them. I know lots of comics that can smoke a joint and, have fun, and, it's like, that's not me. It's not what I
Yeah.
do. I'll smoke all of it. There's not and I don't care how good it is. Now, oh, it's stronger now. I don't care. Let's get to a coma, and then
Yeah.
we're in a good spot.
Do people still, I mean, since 2001 now, but do people still that know you're not going to drink or smoke or drink? Do
I
they
think
still
most I think most
tiptoe around it with you, kind of thing?
most
Like,
most people are very. I mean, I don't know. I've never really been around anyone um, that's like, "Come on, man, come on,"
yeah,
Um, it's like I'll sit in a green room and people are smoking weed, and it's just like, I'm good, you
yeah,
know. And nobody has ever been, oh, come on, man. If they are, they're 14 years old if they're doing that.
yeah, yeah. Because people all the time at casinos, I was at I did a week at the Cellar last year, and a couple of the comics were going to go gamble. We were going to get food in between the
Oh,
shows, and a couple of them were going to play a few hands. Again, just like you said with the joint, I'm going to smoke all of it. Like what they were
yeah,
gambling on was like cute, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
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 yeah, it's adorable. But then they were like, oh, is it okay? Should you be standing here? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not shaking. That I'm
yeah,
we just went and got a chicken sandwich. I'm just here with it. But I
yeah,
do appreciate that too. I still appreciate. I don't think that that's the worst thing. That people are looking out for you. But yeah, I've never. Gambling would be even weirder. It's like, come on, pussy, put some
yeah.
money down.
No,
But
yeah. I mean, it's like, I've been with my girlfriend we've been together coming out, it's like 10 months, a little longer. And she's a normal, has one, maybe two glasses of wine.
mm,
And that's it. But she's one of the people that it took a while for her to be comfortable,
mm,
because it's my partner. So she's always like, well, is it okay if you have wine in your refrigerator? I'm like, babe, I got tequila in the freezer in case
Yeah.
friends come. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to drink it. If you want it,
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
It doesn't really phase me anymore.
Yeah. I guess I should buy a craps table for when people come over.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. But the other side too is like, I think some of the things like I can't be around cocaine.
Yeah.
Like I just, it's like I think part of it is it's such an evil drug to me. Like I just think it's a horrible drug. I don't like the way people. I know how I was on it, and I just don't like to be around people that are on it.
Yeah, it's a fake social drug too. Like
It's a worst.
if somebody comes to your house and like, hey, you want a drink? Like you give them, yeah, you want tequila, some wine, whatever. That's fine. You're not like, hey, you want to. If someone's like, you want to bump as soon as you walk in, that's not a good scenario. That you bump. That's not
No,
a.
no,
Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah. So it's a totally different kind of world that way. But the going back to because I've talked about dating a little bit on this podcast, people. But do you tell? I mean, does it come up on the first date? Do you tell them like what do you?
Sometimes, look. Here's the thing: is I have no problems with it. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I think it's harder when you're newly sober. I think it's much more difficult. I think it's a subject that's sometimes hard to talk about if you're, especially in your first year. And so, you know, I would suggest if someone's in their first year and they're like kind of doing it, don't make a big deal about it. You don't have to go and do a diatribe about what it was like. You could even just say, you know, I'm just not drinking right now, you know, or I'm just not doing this right now. And if they're like, why? It's just like, you know, just I just for right now I'm just not. And I think you can leave it at that. I think I think it's much more difficult for people who are earlier in it. And you know, my suggestion is just you know, don't make it a big deal. You don't have to go into, you know, DUIs or arrests or whatever your history of it is just to simply say, you know, for right now I'm not drinking. And most people, I think, unless it's someone you probably shouldn't be hanging out with anyway, are probably not going to have any problems at all with that.
Yeah. Or you can
But
tell them
for
you're
me,
pregnant.
I don't. It
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. It's like people are. She's. You know, I remember. You know, I met my girl and she had a glass of wine and I had a. I think I had a Coke or something, and she's like, "Oh, you don't want?" I go, "No, I don't drink." And she was like, "Oh, really? How did you have a problem?" And I said, "Well, I haven't for 24 years, but you know, there was a time." And I just left it at that, and we laughed about it. But
Yeah.
you know, and then after you get into a relationship with someone, then you can have the discussion about what it was like, maybe, or you know, what your journey and path is. But you know, I still go to a lot of meetings, you know, and I have a couple of, you know, regular meetings I go to here, and you know, my girl knows you know, she's 100% supportive. She knows how much happier and how much better I am when I'm leaving the meeting than when I'm going to the meeting. So she's, you know, that's kind of, she's very supportive.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that too. That is if like if you're doing the work and the things you're supposed to be
Yeah,
doing, that any partner you have is going to be like probably more supportive too because it's a you're responsible, that's what you're
100%.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I was trying to think, we were talking at the beginning, like trying to figure out what year we met and where and stuff, but it wouldn't have been too long after nine
Well, it
11.
had to probably be, I was going to say it was probably around, how long have you been in LA now?
2013 is when I moved to LA, but
So it had to be around 2010 or 2011.
okay, so it was a while after. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think we figured out that it was either with Sebastian or Harland when
Hmm.
we met, and it probably was closer to. It might have been a little before that with Harland, but
Yeah.
you know, I was trying to think. I think we met at Fort Lauderdale with Harland.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. It was with Harland. Yeah. In Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. I remember it now. I remember that week
Yeah, I
specifically.
think.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was the old one. The old one at when it was at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, before they made it the giant guitar and all that stuff and took that down. That was a great club. That was
That
fun.
was actually a pretty good club. It was a
Yeah.
very weird, that weird slushy bar that was right outside, that was like always like the big girls with the hair pieces in that were hanging out there drinking those what was
Fat
that? What?
Tuesdays. Fat
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the club owned it. And I want to
Yeah.
say that they probably made more money from the slushy bar than they made from the comedy club. Like
Oh,
just
100%.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
Because it was like all attached. So you had to like
Yeah.
walk by
Oh
that
yeah.
thing. Yeah. Um, yeah, it just goes to show you. It's like that's I mean, we're comedians, we're artists. And it's like, I think the alcohol's doing the heavy lifting for your
Yeah,
art.
I think
Yeah.
for a big part. It was like a whole like they had like all they had was like 30 different flavors of like iced rum drinks, and
Yeah.
it was just I mean it's cherry, grape, watermelon, pina colada, whatever it was, and they were just in these great big glasses, and people were just sitting there with big straws drinking them, and it just hammered.
It had one of those long ones. They'd have like the
Yeah.
long,
Yeah. Yeah.
embarrassing thing. It looks like
Yeah.
a flask in a lab or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Drinking out of. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days. Are you still playing a lot of golf? I imagine you
I
are. You're
do. I
good.
play quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your handicap?
I'm down to a 2 right now.
Wow. When are you not supposed to keep a handicap? That's where I think I've always been in the like high 90s, low hundreds. So I just don't even keep one.
That's a handicap. That's a 17, 18 handicap.
Yeah. It's not bad. I can get around. We've always talked about playing. People
I
like you. I
love
don't
it,
want to
dude.
play with because it's just. I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be fun for you. You got to wait for me.
Dude, I have so much fun. I went last year. I went to Ireland and Scotland with a friend of mine who's a
Nice.
22 handicap. And we played the old course at St. Andrews and played with a guy who's a member of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club. And he
Wow.
could not have been nicer to my buddy, who like was, I mean, not a good golfer at all, and I mean would just spray balls and chunk and whatever. But he could not have been nicer. We both had the time of our lives, and I shot a 73 on the old course from the back tees
That's awesome.
in a 35-mile-an-hour wind. I played well.
Yeah, and that I imagine that course is hard all year
It's
round.
very difficult. It's
Yeah, that
very difficult.
and yeah, it's just, a chunk. See, that would be the thing. Like if I just took a chunk out of the turf there, I would just think they would kick me out. They'd be like, "All
Well,
right,
it's pretty hard turf. You got to really dig. It's not. You don't take in a big chunk. I promise.
oh yeah," because you're just trying to hit it low there and let it run, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Well, maybe we'll play someday. But I don't remember what I was going to ask you now. Oh, like before, did you think your addiction was helping you before you stopped? Like before you realized it was a problem? Were you like, this is important that I need to be doing? Like some people say
No.
that. Yeah.
No. I started drinking when I was probably 12, 13 years old. Like I said, I grew up in a very alcoholic family, and I was smoking pot by the time I was 15. By the time I was 16, I was snorting cocaine and eating acid and taking Quaaludes. So it was, I don't even know what to. It
Yeah.
was not good. It was not good for a very long time, and I could manage it. I was, you hear people say I'm a functioning alcoholic, and I was a functioning alcoholic drug addict, but I was functioning at a 2 instead of at a 10. So I kind of find, there is no, I mean, look, if you are an alcoholic or an addict, or you have one of these issues, if you have a problem with something, and I don't care what you think, the reality is you're not.
Yeah.
But I never thought I had tried really, really hard the last 2 years to cut it down, cut it back, not do it, not drink as much, not snort as much, not, what, all this stuff. And I simply could not control it. I just couldn't control it. And anytime the minute a drink would hit my lips, um, I was calling a dealer, and then and then in the meantime, was stoned 7 days a week. So if I wasn't drinking, I was smoking. I just didn't. I was not comfortable in my own skin. That's the best way to describe it. I did not want to be alone with me.
What kind of grades did you get? That's early. You
Um,
were
uh, Decent grades until high school.
uh,
High school were pretty bad, and
uh,
uh, I went from an A student, pretty much straight A's, um, athlete, you name it. I was Oklahoma, Texas state champion wrestler when I was in junior high. Um, I was, on the swim team. I was on the, played baseball, played football, um, did all these things. And then by the time I was a freshman in high school, I could still function a bit. I was I played football in high school. My freshman year, and I think part of I think my freshman and sophomore year, I played football and was on the swimming team. And I was recruited in college for colleges as a freshman in high school for wrestling. And I wrestled my first year, and I just hated it because I'd done it since I was a little kid, and I was really, really good. And I just hated it, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I quit. And then I got really into everything else, and it just slid. And I barely got through high school. Barely. I had
yeah.
to go to night school to get through high school. And then I went to college for 2 years, maybe 2 years. And I mean, dude, it was, I was, I mean, I might have one credit in college, maybe. I might have one credit.
What
I would
college?
drop an ad, Oklahoma State University,
Oklahoma State. Yeah.
Stillwater. It was a party school. And
Yeah.
I was a DJ at the radio station, and I was drunk every single day.
How did you pivot into acting and comedy? Like, how did you just knew that's what you
So,
wanted to do? Or
well, I was in so when I was younger, I was in theater. I did a lot of theater when I was in junior high and high school. I did a ton of theater, and I loved it. And then I actually went out to L.A. for a vacation. I went out to for the Summer Olympics in '84, and I happened to be extremely. I won't. It's a long story, but I was extremely hungover, and the first day I was in town. I flew in on, let's say, a Tuesday, and on Wednesday I went to work. My friend was stand-in on a TV show, and I went to work as an extra on this TV show, and I got hired as a photo double for the lead actor that day. And it was all because I was hungover and was afraid I was going to throw up, so didn't want to be outside. I wanted to be in this soundstage. And I worked, and I ended up moving to LA after that. Like, I got hired the first day, worked that TV show, did that TV show for 4 months, and then got cast in Teen Wolf, did Teen Wolf, and then started, was doing acting classes and doing all that, and then, had odd jobs doing stuff, but I was studying acting, and then got Can't Buy Me Love, which was a big deal at the time. And, I just worked. I worked from the first day I got to LA, the very first day, until the writer's strike really hit in the late 80s, 90s. And, and then I kind of was in and out of it. I worked some, but not a ton. And the drinking and stuff got worse and worse.
yeah.
And then when I got sober, I was like, I always wanted to do stand up. I should try doing stand up. And I started.
Okay.
I started in my
Yeah.
30s, dude. I just didn't do stand up till I was in my 30s.
Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, if there's people that are younger listening, and I know there is, there's people that written to me, and you haven't seen those movies, that Can't Buy Me Love. I probably watched 30 times when I was younger. Like, I watched
Dude,
that movie so many times. Yeah.
it still holds up. It's actually not a bad movie.
Yeah.
You know, it even Teen Wolf's been on a lot lately, and that
Hmm.
one still cracks me up. You know,
Sure. Yeah. Teen Wolf. And then they redid it into like this dark,
oh
brooding MTV TV show.
yeah.
Like,
Well, they did Teen Wolf 2 with Jason Bateman,
yeah.
which
I don't
was
even know if
not
I
a.
ever saw Teen Wolf 2.
I don't
But
think a lot of people have.
yeah. Jason Bateman's doing
I
fine.
don't think Jason Bateman's watched it more than once.
He scrubbed it from his IMDb. He's like, yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
in that. You
Uh,
can't prove I was in that.
yeah.
So, um, yeah. Wow. So being hungover got you the role. So,
Yeah.
well, there's one positive at least.
There you
So,
go. Yeah.
do you think there was like a problem that you were trying to solve? I mean, you were so young when you started, but did you look back and you're like, this is why? Is that something you've ever discovered or figured out? Like, this is why I was
Well,
drinking or using or whatever.
I think it comes a lot from it's like a lot of it. I think it's genetic a little bit because I have two brothers, and neither one of them really. I think I have one brother that kind of arrested it, and the other brother just never really was. You know, he just really never got into it like I did, and neither one of them did, and. But I kind of feel like I kind of, for me, I think probably a lot of it was um, I lived in a lot of fear growing up, and I was afraid. I was afraid that, my mom was married and divorced a lot, and so I had stepdads and that weren't great guys, and were alcoholic, and I found that it was a way to cope with the fear and being uncomfortable and it was a way to fit in, and and then it just became a way of life, and that's and I think that's what's difficult is it's the only way and so when you do turn things around, um, you have to find a new way, and I think the hardest thing for anybody is they think that they can do this alone. And I didn't do it alone. I had a lot of help, a lot of people in my life, a lot of great people in my life that helped me through a lot and still do. I have a great core of guys that I'm friends with here in Nashville that are some of the best guys I've ever met in my life. And we're close. We're close friends. And I think that's part of it. I think the hardest thing is, isolation. And I think that becomes, I think when you start isolating and drinking and using, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah,
It's just like
isolation.
gambling. Like you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like even with gambling, it's not like you're out with your buddies playing blackjack having a laugh. You're chasing it somewhere, or I don't know what your thing was, but I doubt it was,
Everything.
roulette, you know.
I played roulette, but no, it's everything. I started with sports gambling,
Yeah.
pretty young, and then through college, and then I started getting into casinos later. And I mean, it's like drinking. You're gonna do everything. You're eventually gonna make it to Kahlua, So that
Yeah.
so I've done it all. There hasn't been one thing that I haven't irresponsibly, lost money on, and just all my money. But yeah, isolation for sure is like a huge.
Yeah, that's the
I mean,
thing. When you're like, it's not like you're gambling with your buddies, you know, f- on the
never.
college playoffs. You're at Caesars. You're dealing with the big boys, and it's
Yeah, I
like,
never would gamble with other people. That's not true. There was a couple women at different times that I met that had gambling problems that I was like, cool, let's
oh
this
wow,
you won't judge me. So let's, the
oh
same way
wow,
you find other people in relationships.
yeah,
I mean, that drug addicts or alcoholics or whoever is going to think
Oh,
hey, you're not going to
oh,
judge me. You're going to be on board with us. We can commiserate together, and you're not going to say shit. But even that, like we would go to a casino together, and then I wouldn't even see them for like 5 hours,
oh
and
my
it'd
God.
be
Yeah.
like, so it
Oh,
wasn't
I
even.
mean, yeah, I've been in relationships where it's like, oh my God, how bad was it? I mean, we were horrible, horrible together, you know?
Yeah, and there's like you got to delete them out of your life, but it's funny because I'm not I'm not famous, but I'm still a public figure. I have a website. People can see me, clips go up, whatever. And then I would say maybe it's probably like a year ago or something. One of those women hit me up and was just like, I just got this in my feed. It was like a clip of mine
Yeah.
about, a joke that I did and I was like, oh no, and then I said, how you doing? And she was like, I'm good. And she'd been clean. She hadn't been gamma. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, good. And I was like, uh.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you this. I know a lot of like it's funny is there's like a lot of people that I was when I was running hard is more and more of these people I see are sober now
Yeah.
because either that or they're not around anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. I especially gambling highest suicide rate for any addiction. Not that any addiction's good. There's plenty of death in all of the addictions, whether it's by suicide or other ways. But um yeah, and so that's one of the things that, like, you're probably not going to hear from the person 2-3 years from them unless they've gotten their shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
So, which yeah. What's a small thing someone did that helped you more than they know?
A small thing someone did that helped me more than they know.
Yeah.
God, there's been so many, man. Um, I remember when I was first going, I used to go to these meetings at a place in LA called the Log Cabin. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a weird place. It's on Robertson, right by Melrose,
Mhm.
and it's literally a log cabin. And and I was kind of I was in it, but I was kind of still kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And they say getting commitments at meetings, and a guy the best way, if this is a suggestion, I'm not telling people what to do, but a great thing is if you are going to meetings, you're doing stuff, get in there and shake people's hands and get to look for the similarities, not the differences, because we can all find the differences in what's going on. But if you look for the similarities, you're going to find a lot of similarities with people in there, because we had heroin addicts and coke addicts and meth addicts and alcoholics, and all of us are in the same room, trying to do the same thing and just not drink or use. And this one guy, Mike White, and he's very well known around LA, he goes, you are going to have the literature commitment at this meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he goes, you have to bring this. And it was like one of those great big, like, uh, what do you call them? Pamphlet racks, those metal pamphlet racks,
Mhm.
and a box of books and stuff. And I had to put them they're so big you couldn't put it in the back, so you had to go in the trunk of your car. He goes, you bring this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I had to make a big announcement at the meeting, at the end of the meeting, like, my name is Cort, and here's where you come and you get books and pamphlets and all this stuff. And I got to know so many people because of that. And people knew my name, so that when I walked in, they go, morning, Cort. And it's good to see you, Cort. And it's the little, it was a little thing that probably really changed a lot of things for me.
Yeah. I'm sure he knew he was doing that too with that. That
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
whole, yeah.
He's been around a long time. That guy has.
Yeah. Then he made White Lotus, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
What song best describes your addiction?
Ooh. What song?
Yeah.
Desperado. I don't know. I just think it was. I mean, there's so many. Cocaine was one we used to You know, I can't
Sure.
remember. There
It's a
was a
classic.
song. There was a weird song, and I can't remember the name of it right now.
How'd
But
it
I'll
go?
never forget. I can't even remember it. Um, but it was in the late 70s, early 80s, like maybe 70, 79 or something. And it was when I was really first getting into smoking weed. And every time we started smoking weed, that song would come on the radio. Now, looking back, it was a hit at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, would have gotten, been on the play, but it's like, it just felt like, oh, that song's following me around,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. I can't remember
Stairway
the
to
name.
Heaven, right? Stairway to
No,
Heaven.
it wasn't it. It was
Yeah,
by
because back
somebody
then,
that's like a one-hit wonder that's not even around anymore.
yeah, back then it was like, well, they were playing like 12 songs on
Yeah,
repeat on the,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
what's the dumbest excuse you've ever told yourself to justify your addiction?
The dumbest excuse.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've had there's too many. There's too many excuses I've had, but usually it was like, well, I don't have to be responsible until tomorrow. So
Yeah.
everything I don't have to worry about it till tomorrow.
Yeah. That's a classic. Yeah. I would do that. I would always do it with money. I would just be like, all right, well, I lost all of the money I have for rent, XYZ, this,
Yeah.
insurance, this, but I have this thing and that, and then I'll go do this and I'll make that money. And it's just, I would do that
Yeah,
like
I
these
mean,
math gymnastics in my head and be like, yeah, it'll be fine, even though it wasn't fine, you know? So,
yeah, it's like I would go out and have, two or three drinks and, go, well, I'm just going to have a couple drinks. I'm not going to do any blow. I really don't have to be anywhere until 5 o'clock tomorrow. And then I'd be like, well, I don't got to be anywhere till 5 o'clock tomorrow. And then I go all fucking night till, 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. And I'm just a wreck
yeah.
for the 5 o'clock.
Yeah. And then once you get sober, clean, whatever, is like, you realize you have plenty of places to be. You just weren't doing it because now it's like,
Yeah.
I look at my calendar. I'm like, it's not like the biggest things I have to do, but I'm like, oh, I have to go to the
Yeah.
post office to do this, or I have
Yeah.
to go to a CVS to go. There's like shit you got to do, but you just keep lumping that into a pile until it gets bigger
Yeah.
and
Like there's
unmanageable.
actually food in my fridge right now, you know,
Yeah, yeah, that's a fun one.
not
Yeah.
leftover, not leftover, whatever.
Oh, I got to clean my house. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. What do you think is like the worst addiction?
Um, Personally, I think it's heroin. I think I think opiate addiction is the worst. I just
Yeah,
think I've just, my experience has been that it is the hardest. Um, I've never seen anybody have so much trouble staying,
yeah,
you know, I see that relapse more than I see anything. And it's a hard one. And they've, I think the treatment that they've done, I think that the recovery community has done a big disservice by, there's this Suboxone or Subutex that they prescribe to people now, and it's just, and there's no step down. They used to have methadone, and methadone had a step down on, it was kind of designed where you started here and you would kind of slowly wean off of methadone. Suboxone and Subutex, there's no step down, and it's just, people get on this and it's just a synthetic heroin more or less, and they're just
yeah,
not quite drooling, but they're close. And there's no, and it's a harder um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a harder detox than actual heroin, than actual opiates. So it's just hard. It's just really difficult. It's a horrible cycle that I see. I've seen it. I've seen it over and over and over again, and it's just very sad to me. And I
yeah.
think it's the
It's
hardest one.
and I think that I know this. I don't know if you're familiar with kratom. This like kind of new thing.
Yeah,
It's
kratom's
yeah,
horrible.
it, and people are using that for like that
Yeah,
there's that people use that or other, and I think that you know statistically, historically, whatever words you want to use, like all that stuff has high failure rates, or is not the way to be
Kratom's
doing it.
horrible.
Yeah,
I had a very good friend who was a oxy guy and was sober for a while and then relapsed and we got him back on the horse. He was doing great, not the horse, but got him back to doing
yeah.
good and he started on kratom and next thing you know he's back on oxy. So it's just not good. It's not good.
And that one's like, I was doing
You
a
buy that
comedy
at gas.
club, a gas station, kava bars, they'll have them out and stuff.
They'll
Like, hey, you
stick.
want some yeah, and I was at a comedy club, and I didn't really know a lot about it until last year, and a friend of mine had some issues with it, and then I had a guest on, and we talked about it, and I was getting educated about it because I really had no clue, and it's funny how like you're talking about the song following you around, as soon as I did that episode, it was like just this is a thing, like,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
had so many people coming there. It's not bad. It's all about moderation, and this and that. I'm like, it's not what I was
it's not
learning
good.
and reading
Not
and
good. Yeah.
and it's it's unregulated. It's kind of like
Yeah, it's like cigarettes aren't bad. Yeah, they're not bad. A lot of
yeah
people died from them, but they're not bad.
yeah millions, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. What one word would you use to describe your addiction?
Dark.
Dark. Yeah, it's a good one. And then what about your recovery? One word.
Hope.
Nice. And what's your proudest moment in recovery so far? Doesn't have to be the proudest. You can just pick one you
I
want.
mean, it's probably the the greatest joy I get in recovery is I sponsor guys, and when they get that first year sober, that's like it's the greatest, man.
Yeah,
It's the greatest.
yeah. Are they still giving out poker chips? Is that what you're doing?
Oh yeah, they give out medallions, and there's a. I go to a meeting. I used to go to a meeting a lot in L.A., and it's a great meeting out in Palisades, and we just moved now. But they, there's 300 men in this room, and it's great big meeting, and they'll say everyone stands up that has anniversaries or birthdays celebrating a year or more sobriety, and there'll be someone with 32 years, someone with 25, someone
Yeah.
with 19, and people are clapping, and they're like, so and so's got 6, and there's a big clap. He goes, my name's John, I have 1 year. The room just erupts, and
Yeah.
it's like you thought the Yankees just won the World Series. It's the greatest thing because that's the hard one to get over that hump of that 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 year is a big caution. No, I was asking about the poker chips because we don't do that in GA. We do different.
Yeah, they do.
We do-
There's
it's
a chip
coins.
for there. Yeah, there's a chip for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, and then you get
Yeah.
to a year, and then you got to wait
Yeah.
another year to get another one.
Yeah. What's the worst advice someone gave you while you were struggling?
Worst advice. You know, I honestly don't think I got. Like, I can't think of anything that's like, I mean, I had people that around me that were not in recovery that would be like, "Are you still doing? I mean, like, why are you doing this?" And
Mm,
it's like, well, because I don't want to fucking be like you. And
yeah.
so maybe that, but I not really. I don't haven't really had like. Look, my opinion is this: is there's a million different ways to do sobriety, recovery, whatever. There's a million ways. I don't think anybody's story is the same. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but I don't think anybody's like path or journey is the same because we're different people. We're different lives, and there's different things going on. But but I feel like you know, just don't let anybody tell you what to do. If somebody told me what to do, I never would. I'd be like, fuck off. But
Yeah.
people make suggestions, and try it. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you feel better. Sometimes you don't. But they're just
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah. I had that same kind. People would always tell me to just stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just stop.
That's yeah.
Which at its base is a good suggestion, I think. But it
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, but I need a little to, it's a little more involved than that. But oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah.
And then what advice do you have for someone that is struggling?
Call somebody. Call somebody. Call somebody that's got a little bit more time than you do, or call somebody who has less time than you do. But call somebody. Reach out. Go somewhere. Do not try to figure. If you're struggling, then you're doing it. It's not easy. And the other thing I'll tell you is the other thing I would say is that I don't care how bad it is, whatever you're feeling, I promise you it'll pass.
Yeah.
That
Right.
much I know. Whatever however sad or depressed or whatever, wherever you are, it will pass. And it's like, but it's really important, I think. My suggestion to anybody is always reach out to someone. You don't have to sit and talk about problems. Just call. Just call and talk. Just call and just talk to someone.
Yeah. And I'll repeat what you said earlier. Look for the similarities.
Yeah.
That's like the important thing, because you do, it's just human nature to go in there and just be like, I'm not like any of these people, but you are.
Oh yeah.
But you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, and you'll find the similarities quickly. So,
Yeah.
Cort McCown, thanks for being on the podcast. Go check out, find Cort, CortMcCown. Have all the links
Yeah.
below or somewhere wherever near. Go watch him do a show. Really funny. And yeah, thanks for being here, Cort.
Forrest, great to see you, buddy. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks again to Cort McCown for being on the podcast. And, we were talking about it at the end. We always talk about it at the end, because that's my question that I throw out there is reach out to somebody. If you're not feeling well, or you feel like you need help, or you have a problem, or you're struggling, or you feel suicidal, there are crisis hotlines in the US, 988, in Canada, 988. And then go to Wikipedia's page list of suicide crisis lines, and they will have the numbers listed by country. So always reach out to somebody. And as for the podcast, thanks to everybody, the new listeners that I have and new watchers. If you haven't subscribed and you're just watching this episode or listening for the first time, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit subscribe to the YouTube channel or any of the audio channels where, or podcast platforms where you're listening to this. Throw in a little rating, a little comment, and come see me live if you want. ForrestShaw.net. All my dates are on there. This week I don't think I'm anywhere this week. Just doing shows around LA. So if you're in LA, come out and see me. The week after, February 5th, I'll be in Chandler, Arizona at Mike Mania doing the Ocean Hates You show. It's the very first one that I'm doing. So come out and watch this train wreck. No, I should probably promote it better than that. If you're in Phoenix area, though, come to Mike Mania in Chandler, Arizona on February 5th. And then if you're in the Chicago area, I'm going to be in Oak Park at the Comedyplex February 6th and 7th. There's links to all this stuff on my website. And then I will be at Flappers on February 13th doing The Ocean Hates You again in LA. So if you're in the LA area, please come out to The Ocean Hates You at Flappers on February 13th. And then I'll be at the Adelaide Fringe Festival, February 17th through the March 1st at the Howling Owl in Adelaide doing The Ocean Hates You. Come out and see that. And then I'll be in Melbourne the week after that. Comedy Cellar in Vegas in March. I'll be doing shows with Jim Jeffries in Dallas and Austin and Portland and Seattle and Kansas City and Omaha, Nebraska. I'll be in Lake Tahoe in, what is that? Early April at the Harvey's Casino there for 3 nights. And I'll be down in Florida at the Green Turtle Inn and the Keys. I've got other dates. They're all on ForrestShaw.net. Go to my website. Check them out. If you feel like donating money to the podcast, there is a link there. All the money goes back into this podcast. Thank you to the people that have donated. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. Love y'all.